Here's how I set up my VPS that has cost me $0 so far, connected through Tailscale on all my devices, so I'm able to SSH into it as necessary. I use this personally for my Hermes agent. I used to use it with OpenClaw, but I switched over from OpenClaw to Hermes. If you want a video about me going over that, let me know. So I went ahead and I read through the OpenClaw documentation, and it basically just tells you exactly what to do. It states that the Oracle Cloud VPS, they have an always free tier, although I would highly recommend that you update to the pay as you go tier. Now, it hasn't cost me a single dollar yet. I've been using it for a few months, but switching over to that pay as you go tier will give you a higher priority to get the VPS, because I know a lot of people are trying to get this, and if you just use the free tier and try to set it up, you'll likely get like an API error every time you try it. I know I did. So it takes a little bit to get the pay as you go. It might take a day or two. I think it took me a few days to get it approved and set up. But once you have that set up, should be all set to go. You shouldn't need anything else. I haven't spent a single dollar. I've been using it for about 4 months now, and everything's running smoothly. So first you just want to go over to compute instances, and you want to create an instance. So for the name, it's going to be the name of the virtual computer or VPS, whatever you want to call it. And for the placement, you can go anywhere. I believe I tried all three and I had the best luck with the first one. And then for the image, we're going to go ahead and set it to Ubuntu 24.04, and then for the shape we're going to use ARM and then use the standard A1 flex. That is the always free eligible one that you see. Here is where the limitations come into play. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you change the settings for this so that the number of OCPUs and amount of memory is whatever you want. So for my VPS, I have 4 OCPUs and 24 gigabytes of memory. That was what was free at the time when I created this. If you go down at this Oracle Cloud Agent section, I personally disabled everything because I don't really want anything running on my VPS. I mostly just use it for my Hermes agent, but it's up to you. I would recommend turning all of this off, but it depends on your use case. Security, you can go ahead and skip over. Well, I'll go into a little bit more detail about how I keep it secure towards the end. And then here you'll be creating your VNIC and your virtual cloud network. So for your VNIC, you can just name it whatever, and then you'll most likely be creating a new virtual cloud network. I have one that I use for OpenClaw that I previously created. You can just go ahead and create one, name it whatever you want. And then for your SSH key, this is very important because this is how you're going to be able to jump into your VPS from your other devices. Like I'm personally on my Linux desktop, and I can easily just control the VPS however or whenever I want just by SSHing into it. So you're just going to want to use this command. You can put whatever for the comment. That's just to help you identify what device that's from if you have multiple devices like I do. So I have one for my Mac, for my desktop. So the way it works is that it generates a key pair. There's a public key that you upload, and then there's a private key on that device, and that one you should never share or never make public, but the public one safe to upload onto the website. And then for your block volume, here you're going to want to attach a block volume and set it to, you're going to want to create a new volume, and then for the size, go to custom and change it to whatever is allowed in the free tier. Now I set it to 150 for my VPS just to be safe, and it's been more than enough for now. Everything should be all good. You should be able to just create it and everything should be running at that point. So at this point, you should go ahead and SSH in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you my ingress and egress rules. If you don't know, ingress is what's going into the VPS and egress is the traffic coming out of it. So first of all, you want to install Tailscale. That is the most important thing that's going to keep your VPS safe and not allow anyone to access it. This basically creates a tailnet, which is private network for all your devices, which makes it seem like they're in the same location, even if they're not physically. Like obviously my VPS is in a whole different location, but I can connect to it from any of my devices. So you're going to want to download Tailscale on your VPS and on the devices you want to connect from. Tailscale's default listening port is UDP 41641, so you're going to want to add this to your ingress rules, and you might have other ones. I'll recommend learning what they do. So on your ingress rules, you should see a TCP port 22. That is the default SSH port. Basically, anyone on the internet can reach that service through that port. I would recommend, after confirming that the Tailscale SSH works, to remove port 22. That way you can only connect via Tailscale. That's how I have my setup, so it's a little bit more secure than regular SSH. And on my screen for my ingress rules, you might see TCP port 80 and port 443. These are the HTTP and HTTPS. It's not necessary. The one that's necessary is the UDP port for Tailscale. And then once you set all this up, should be all set. You can go ahead and install whatever you want, whether it's OpenClaw, Hermes, or if you just want a VPS for another reason, feel free. Just wanted to make this video because I've been using this header for a few months and it's been working well for me, and it hasn't cost me anything, so I thought I'd share it if anyone can find some value from this. If you have any questions, please let me know, and have a good day.